Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling Review series for May 5th, 1990. And so these are going to be sporadic simply because not every episode is available. I found about 100 episodes between 90 and 92 that will be give me the ability to cover, and I'm actually looking for more, so I may find more. In the end, though, some of these are clipped, which I don't particularly care for, but I'll do the best I can with them. To me, 87, 88 to 92 is the peak for the WWF run. That is, to me, the golden era. It's also the era I grew up with. Other people would say 85 through 90. Some people might say 83 through 90. Usually the consensus is by 93 things start to drop off, and then most people think that things picked up in 97. But anyway, so this particular episode is notable because it has Intercontinental Championship ramifications. Of course, we're coming off WrestleMania 6, Hogan and Warrior. Probably, one might even say, one of the last really impactful manias. I know there's mixed feelings about 7. Anyhow, we have the Intercontinental title tournament this particular week. Curt Hennig and Jimmy Snuka are part of that. Hennig and Snuka will run with each other through Survivor Series 89. Actually, they picked up around Survivor Series 89, so this is more the blow off of their feud. Hennig, of course, wins. I do not have access to the winning match, which I actually is one of my favorite just guilty pleasure matches. Tito Santana and Curt Hennig, but Hennig with a tip up kickoff with the knees, and then you see Snuka with a bunch of body slams here. It's interesting because, I mean, Hennig at this point, before the back injury, I believe the back injury happens in sometime in 91. He's bumping all over the place for stuff as simple as chops, and it's just amazing to me. Curt Hennig was so good 85, 86 through 90, 91. I think he might have been one of the best ever in terms of how to bump, and I see a lot of I see a lot of him in Dolph Ziggler, which is one of the reasons I'm such a Ziggler fan. But just sad that Ziggler never gets a win. Crossbody by Curt Hennig off the top rope, which is amazing. Snuka at this point, he does come back in 89. I think he's gone by 92. Snuka's comeback from 89 to 92 really is rather unimpactful. Jimmy certainly never had the push that he had. Some would say that he lost a few steps. I remember seeing him main event a couple of fair shows, for lack of a better term, smaller shows, 2,000 or less, with the Honky Tonk Man, and he still had it in those environments, but certainly not the guy that people imagined him to be in the years to follow. Hennig does get a bit of an attempted roll up. I don't know that by this point he had been managed by Bobby Heenan. I think that's actually the final of the tournament, I'm pretty sure. But he uses the foot on the ropes to get a victory. And obviously Snuka not happy with that. We go to an update talking about WrestleMania 6. Keep in mind, we're less than a month out from WrestleMania 6, and WrestleManias were at a time when there were 4 pay-per-views. And so your Big Four, your Royal Rumble, your WrestleMania, your SummerSlam, your Survivor Series, pay-per-views really meant something back then. And so this is a highlight of Andre the Giant with a babyface turn for the first time since 1986, late 86, early 87. I think he actually turned in like January '87. But anyway, he has dropped the championship back to Demolition with Haku. Bobby Heenan, in one of Heenan's, I won't say better performances, but memorable, at least for me, because WrestleMania 6 was the first WrestleMania that I watched on pay per view. I had seen 5 in the video stores. I had first pay per view I saw as a kid was SummerSlam '89, and didn't miss anything from there forward. But this is the first Mania, and you know, basically Heenan gets up in his face. Heenan is, how dare you not listen to me? And Andre paintbrushes him. Haku tries to kick Andre. Boom, 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 and Andre clears the arena or the ring, goes back on the cart on his own in an iconic visual. Anyway, we move on to Bobby Heenan basically saying that eventually that Andre will beg to come back to the family. This does not happen. Andre's final match, I think, is WrestleMania 6 in the WWF. I know that he has, maybe he has some international matches, but I don't remember him wrestling much, if at all, after Mania 6 in the States. Next up, enhancement match for the Rockers. Of course, the Rockers in 1990, still a major team, hip toss by Jannetty and jump from behind by one of the enhancement talents. Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty at the time, as a kid, one of my favorite tag teams. It's funny, I loved Shawn Michaels then. I was not as big a fan of Jannetty, and that would run straight through their turn. At this point, though, coming off of WrestleMania 6, Rockers still feuding with the Orient Express. At this point, the Express, Sato and Tanaka, managed by Mr. Fuji. You know, I look back at the Rockers now, and I really think they were the Rock and Roll Express of the WWF at the time. That's the whole idea. And I love the Rockers. I still think they might have been one of the better tag teams to never get an acknowledged championship win. I know they beat the Hearts in 1990, but it was overturned because of a ring snafu. I think that match exists on a DVD somewhere. As a matter of fact, I know it does because I've seen it. I just don't remember what DVD it is. But you know, it's interesting when you look at Shawn Michaels here. Something as simple as a high knee or a double drop kick at the time is a really big deal because the Rockers were protected as these tag team specialists, and obviously they wouldn't be that now. Michaels actually does the clothesline over the top and the double nip up. And then double fist drop, 1, 2, 3, we're good, and the Rockers get your victory. Amazingly, what's on YouTube is from my original home market, the New England market, Boston area. I think I actually saw Fox 25, which is one of the channels I would watch on. I would watch on the Fox affiliate, 64 out of Providence, 25 out of Boston. There was a Worcester Fox, I think it's Fox affiliate, 27 out of Worcester. So that's what I would watch on. And so I got to relive some of the promos that I saw growing up. And here, Bobby Heenan is managing the Barbarian. The split off there was right before WrestleMania 6. Warlord going to Slick, Barbarian going to Heenan. I don't know why that happened, but it's there. Barbarian, it actually does more talking, promises to vanquish whomever gets in the way. Heenan very happy with his investment. Super promo. And then we see the Bushwhackers. Bushwhackers and Rhythm and Blues are the feud through about the summer, which honestly, I saw some of those matches, and I will be right back right after this. Incoming team chat request. I will be right back right after this. So, I mean, ultimately, you know, the Bushwhackers are a major team here. They come in '88 after being the Sheep Herders for several years not particularly the most, I don't want to say unsuccessful team, but certainly a team that's a little bit different. We move towards Jake Roberts getting an opportunity here. Roberts from 87 through 90, actually, well, through 92, really. Probably one of, I would say he's second to third babyface from the top. We see him with Playboy Buddy Rose here. Rose is doing the blowaway diet, which is entirely a comedy gimmick, meant to be a comedy gimmick. And really had done enhancement stuff. Rose so big in Portland and just never allowed to catch on nationally. Roberts at the time, like I mentioned, second or third from the top, having several stints in rehab over this time period, which is sad. I think he could have been so much more than he was. Not that being third from the top in babyface rank is a bad thing, but he could have been more. At this point, they're moving him towards a feud with Bad News Brown, which they actually highlight at the end of this contest. Rose gets a knee, nothing major there. He gets a few elbow drops, and then Roberts hits the short clothesline. The DDT gets the victory there, and Bad News Brown says he's afraid of nothing. He's afraid of no one. Yet he does not go for one-on-one with Jake Roberts here. They actually are building this here in May. That feud has ended by August. I believe SummerSlam 90 is the final match of the Bad News Brown run. So he really has about 2 years where he's with the WWF, does Bad News Brown. That doesn't go the way that it was planned. Anyway, Boston Garden hype is next. I went to the Garden a few times, and it's certainly a unique atmosphere. When I do the house show reviews for there, I'll get more into that. But there was netting to block things from being thrown at the ring. And that's really awesome. Anyway, Rockers and Orient Express is on tap for that. I remember there was a house show 6 days after this June 3rd event, so Friday, June 9th, which I didn't go to because the main event listed, and even as a kid this turned me off, was Andre the Giant and... Wait, no, that had to be 1989, so never mind. I was remembering a year earlier, June 9th of 89 was a John Studd and Andre the Giant deal, which gave me no interest whatsoever. Ultimate Warrior has the World Championship here. He's moving towards a run with Rick Rude, a second run with Rick Rude. Of course, they feuded over the Intercontinental title going into WrestleMania 5, Rude winning it there, and a SummerSlam cage match is what is on tap for the Warrior and Rude here in 1990. Rhythm and Blues, Honky Tonk Man, and the Hammer Greg Valentine, who has now dyed his hair black, much to his own chagrin. I remember talking to Greg. I met Greg a couple of times. Greg was a very polarizing character in that when he felt like being social, nice guy. When he was in a depressed mood, complete, total jerk and can be very cold. But I remember talking to him, and he called this Rhythm and Blues run one of the biggest insults of his career. He didn't like the character, he didn't like the creative, he didn't like virtually anything with it. And so, they are set to go with the Bushwhackers. Certainly not a huge run there. Back elbows, punches, kicks, really basic stuff in this enhancement match. Obviously, the Honky Tonk Man hits the finish with the Shake, Rattle, and Roll. Then we go to a clip in this program, I think from an earlier Superstars, where Randy Savage jumps Dusty Rhodes, roughs up Sapphire a little bit, which never would have gone today. Shuri comes in, nails Sapphire with a purse. Of course, at this point, even post WrestleMania 6, they are doing mixed tags, um, often including Brother Love as a referee, with uh, Dusty Rhodes and Randy Savage uh, as the male components, Sapphire and Shuri as the female components, often with Rhodes as a incoming team chat request. Main winner there. Then we've got a Hacksaw Duggan and Brooklyn Brawler match. At this point, the Brawler is still a relevant character. Within a year-ish, he won't be nearly as much as he was, but at this point, he still is. Duggan at the point is kind of lounging around a little bit in terms of just difficulties. You know, Brawler heads to the outside. Duggan eventually does get the clothesline victory after tossing him back in. I say lounging because he doesn't really have a direct feud, but there's lots of points with that with Duggan where he doesn't have a full-on direct feud at various times. Although he was a character where I won't say he didn't need a program, but you could put Jim Duggan on a show, and as long as he had some history with the guy, you could get a match out of him. You know, he did the Andre feud, he did the Bad News Brown thing, he did, but even 90 through 91, you know, he's kind of there as an over character. But that'll close us for today. We will be back with more right after this.